with other organs, including provincial administration and other agencies within the district. Thereafter, in the year 2000, I was transferred to Nairobi. I came to Nairobi here, and I was deployed to Ruaraka Survey of Kenya. In Ruaraka Survey of Kenya, I was given a section called Geodetic, Technical, and International Boundaries. And this section deals with measurement of the Earth's surface. That is, at any instant, you are able to determine the position or the coordinates of the Earth. That is, using the technology that was available at that time. And also, I was able to develop guidelines for all surveyors within the entire country on how to use modern positioning at that time. And then that is when I was given the first assignment on international boundaries. And my first assignment was to inspect the Kenya-Tanzania international boundary. And inspecting the Kenya-Tanzania international boundary, which is approximately 760 kilometers, which I delivered in the year 2001. And later on, I inspected the Kenya-Uganda boundary. I've done other boundaries, for example, Kenya-Ethiopia boundary, maintain that international boundary, inspecting and ensure that there is maintenance along that boundary. Currently, I'm engaged on maintenance of Kenya-Somalia international boundary. And what we are doing now is we are staking out the boundary to ensure that the construction of the boundary line, because there is an ongoing construction of boundary fence. So we ensure that that boundary fence is constructed inside our territory. So I've also done the delimitation of our international waters. In our international waters, there is the 12 nautical miles, which is our territory, part of our territory, with another additional 200 nautical miles, which is the extensive EEZ, that is exclusive economic zone, which is 200 nautical miles. I headed teams that delimited that maritime boundary, and I achieved that exercise until the time when there was a proclamation by the heads of state, by the head of state, that is on that delimitation of that boundary. The maps were prepared for the delimitation and were submitted to the UN. Also, I've been engaged in activities such as demarcation of parcel of lands, or actually I've been firefighting on some activities which are very sensitive. For example, demarcation of military facilities in Kenya, right from Mandera, Isiolo, like Gilgil, and all those areas, which I have achieved excellently. And also other activities which I feel that I've improved in my experience. I've got experiences. I've been a team leader, and I'm excellence. I've motivated teams, and I feel that I'm coming to this panel to deliver on my objective to be a commissioner. Why do I want to be a commissioner? I want to be a commissioner because of my expertise and experience on delimitation and demarcation of our international boundaries. And the main problem which we have on our boundaries is we have been having a lot of disputes, because you are aware about the Migingo issue, you are aware about the Kenya-Somali boundary issue, and I wish to have that experience. I wish to impart that experience on delimitation of constituency and ward boundaries. As you know, the Constitution stipulates that boundary delimitation, that is electoral boundary delimitation, has to be done within a period between 8 years and 12 years. And we are within that period, which has been stipulated by the Constitution. And if you look at the strategic plan of IEBC, that is the strategic plan from 2020 to 2024, you realize that they had envisaged that the limitation would be done in the year 2020, which they have not achieved. The next item is what I'm bringing on board is my experience on development of geographical information systems. This entails geodetic networks within the establishment of networks within the country with known points or known coordinates, and also entails use of satellite imageries to ensure that the entire Kenya, the entire country, is mapped. And it entails data capture, manipulation, and dissemination. That is geographical information. So what we have in as surveyors is we have established these networks. These networks are very useful, and my vision is to ensure that we integrate these GIS with the technology, electro technology. You are all aware that when you are watching the American graphics, we are not very good in mathematics when you are given figures. But you could be able to see graphics of those states, which you could see that a certain state has delivered some information or electoral votes, and a certain state had delivered half of the information. And there was a time we were saying maybe in Georgia, they have not submitted the results. So the members of the public would be able to see in graphics that map of Kenya, and you can be able to see the results from each and every county. And if you want to zero in, you can still see from each and every polling station any activity that is ongoing. That is now connecting the GIS system and connecting with the electoral technology. And that is what I intend to bring in. The other thing which I intend to bring in is...
I'll kindly request you summarize.
Yes.
So that we have time to ask you some questions, please.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure you'll get a chance to share more as we go on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Chair, those are the two items which I am bringing on board. I still have additional. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rotich. Allow me to ask you if you are a registered voter.
Yes, Chair. I'm a registered voter. I voted in Mesua Primary School in Kapsabet Ward, Mgwen constituency, Nandi County.
Thank you.
Yes.
Allow me to request Mr. Morris Kimuli to ask you a few questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Bonarotich.
Yes.
Just answer straight to the point.
Yes.
We can't, because we have already taken some time.
Okay.
But what you were saying is important to us also.
Thank you.
Because it helps us to understand who you are.
Thank you.
Now that you are a trained scout, perhaps I can just ask you a general question.
Yes.
Because part of this is also about enlightening the public. If you are hoisting the flag, somebody told me that you're not allowed to let it fall on the ground. Is that so?
Yes.
Why?
When you let it fall on the ground, it is as if you have let your country down.
You've let your country down?
Yeah, you have let your country down.
And why are we required to stand on attention?
Always your country, that is respect. You are respecting your country.
Okay.
Yes, you give respect to your country. That is why you are standing. And every time when there is the flag is being raised or lowered, you should be able to stand still.
Attention.
Attention.
We used to hoist it on Fridays only in my school. Is that the requirement, or you can hoist it every day?
Okay, I don't know whether, even me in my school, it used to be raised on every Friday.
Okay.
I don't know whether it is a requirement.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Your experience is in, a lot of your experience is in international boundaries delimitation.
Yes.
You are aware that the principles that apply to delimitation of international boundaries are very different from the principles that IEBC applies in delimiting boundaries for electoral units. You know that?
Yes.
You know that?
Yes.
What are some of the principles IEBC applies when limit electoral boundaries?
Okay. The principle of that I used for delimiting electoral boundaries are, first of all, it has got to be a fair representation of the people, and also it has got to be of equal representation or equal vote in every area. The other thing is you also have to consider now when you are doing the delimitation, you have to consider the threshold, and the threshold, first of all, is the population quota. So you use demographic data, that is the population of the country. Mm-hmm. And in that population, you get it from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Mm-hmm. Also, you have to consider the communication network within that area. Mm-hmm. You also have to consider the community, or the interest of the community, the socio-economic factors, and cultural ties.
Now, let's look at, and that is Article 89 of the Constitution.
That is it.
Community of interest, historical, economic, and cultural ties.
Yes.
That's one of the things that IEBC must consider.
Yes.
Now, you come from the Rift Valley.
Yes.
Where you will have constituencies that predominantly are composed of people from different ethnicities.
Yes.
Now, how, when you're delimiting, for example, you have two communities, two ethnic groups. Mm-hmm. Does that mean, when you consider the cultural, historical, economic, and cultural ties, mm-hmm. does it mean that you should never put two ethnic communities in one constituency?
No. It doesn't mean that way. The underlying factor is the population quota, and that is the first priority. Then what follows now is what you are saying, the community.
Well, let us stick there now.
Yes.
I'm reading sub-article 5. Mm-hmm. Community of interest, the community of interest.
Yes.
Historical, economic, and cultural ties.
Yes.
Members of the same community mm-hmm. and ethnic group have cultural ties.
Yes.
So does that portion of the Constitution mean that IEBC should, as far as possible, put people of the same ethnic group in one constituency or in one ward?
No.
What does it mean to you?
No, it doesn't mean that.
What does it mean to you?
Because a certain community within a specific area could be having very few people, and then it doesn't provide unity within the country. And if you go that, you will have balkanized the entire
So
country.
in your view,
yes.
What does community of interest and cultural ties as a consideration while delimiting boundaries mean to you?
It means for you to derive to that, there must be some underlying factors when you are doing that, and there must be some facts. The facts means that you use other information which pertains to that community. For example, the culture, their tribal grazing grounds, and all that. And when you are considering that, you also consider the other factors of the other community which is there. You know, they have been living cohesively there, and it is only you who is coming in to delimit the boundaries.
Okay.
Yes.
If you have two communities that have a history, because one of the considerations we have is, historical.
Yes.
Considerations.
Yes.
If you have two ethnic communities, two ethnic groups coexisting side by side, but they have a history of fighting during elections. You know, they have fought in the past during elections.
Yes.
When you are delimiting boundaries as a commissioner of IEBC, would you consider to have these two communities in different constituencies?
No, you won't consider that. The best thing is you utilize as I said, you utilize the cohesion factor, that you should ensure that, because they are neighbors. And when they are neighbors, why do they fight during the election? You should get the underlying factor. And then after the election is over, they forget to fight each other. So you should get that underlying factor. Why is that problem?
Okay.
So it should not be used as a factor to delimit the boundaries.
Okay.
Yes.
I get you. Now, delimitation with respect to IEBC is of electoral units.
Yes.
How many electoral units are you aware of?
Electoral units.
Yes, let's count.
Okay, let's start from the ward.
The ward, yes?
Yes. The ward.
No, let's just count.
Yes. 1,400.
That's ward. It's one.
Yeah?
It's one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes, it's
the
one.
ward. And then
Number
let's
two.
go to constituency.
Yes.
And then let's go to the county.
Yes.
And then let's go to the nation.
The national.
Yes, so there are 4. But within the county, there are now 2 types. You could either you are electing a county women rep.
No, that's okay. I'm talking now about the units that are delimited.
Yes.
You've mentioned the ward,
the constituency, the county,
and the national.
And the national.
Now, does IEBC delimit the boundaries of all those electoral units?
According to Article 88, IEBC delimits the county, the constituency, and wards. That is as per IEBC. But now, there is a catch here. How is a county defined? Or when you are electing a county women rep, you are electing her based on a combination of constituencies to form what is known as a single constituency as per the law. Or you are electing a governor based on that, or a senator based on that.
So your answer is that IEBC does not have jurisdiction to delimit county boundaries. A county is an electoral unit. Does it or does it not have?
It will be affected because of that combination. You are combining the constituency to form a county. So at the end of the day, you will come in now to overlap with administrative boundaries.
There will be an overlap.
Yes, there will overlap.
So, do you think, in your view,
Yes.
is it your view that we do not have an express law designating who is responsible for delimiting county boundaries?
Yes, we don't have a current one, but there is an existing law, that is the District and Provinces Act, that defines the 47 districts, original 47 districts, which were converted to be the counties. So in case of any issue, you can revert back to that District and Provinces Act, so that you can be able to solve a boundary dispute between the counties.
Because this
Although when you go to Article 188, it only comes in on alteration of boundaries. That is changing the boundary. If you want to change a certain boundary, Article 188 comes in. So there is no legal framework.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Because this is your area and
That
your
is it.
expertise.
Yes.
I just want to confirm that
Yes.
the Constitution expressly talks about delimitation of county boundaries.
Yes.
And it is not the responsibility of IEBC. Perhaps this is something that you will check.
That is it.
But just tell me, because this is also your area of expertise.
Yes.
If we determined, we
Yes.
altered constituency boundaries
Yes.
today,
Yes.
this
Today.
is
This
July.
July.
When would those alterations become effective?
If you alter it right now, remember that you can, if you alter the constituency boundaries within a period of 12 months, it will not be effective. It will be in the next election. Mm-hmm. So if we can be able to do it right now, we are not within that 12-month period. This is July, and the next election is August next year. Mm-hmm. So if we can do it as fast as possible, fine and good.
It can be
done within
year.
this, before August.
Mm-hmm. Before August, which date?
Yeah, but I doubt.
Before August, which date?
August this month.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir, and all the best. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kimuli. I'll now request Dr. F.S. Abdallah to ask you some questions.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Manarotich.
Yes, Daktari.
Yeah, I just heard you saying
yes.
that you had this experience during the Mlolongo.
Yes.
And you weren't even counting the dogs.
Right.
How old were you then?
That was 1987. I was 22 years.
And you're 56 now?
I'm 56 now.
Right. So in my opinion, that was morally wrong.
Morally?
Wrong, because dogs are not registered voters.
Right. In fact, I was also shocked because I even asked the DC, why did you, because there were about 10, plus now the 2 dogs, and I was asking the DC, why have you written 12? And he insisted that he knows his work. And because the DC, was a respectable person and is my employer, I had no choice.
I'm sorry, but if I were you,
yes.
Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. There is ignorance of the law, and there is also the moral obligations.
Yes.
Anyway, those are bygones. I hope if you become successful being a commissioner, you'll not be forced to do anything wrong.
It's a lesson. It's a lesson, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Manarotich. Now, could you please tell this panel the functions of the commission? You are applying
yes.
for a job in an institution.
Yes.
What are the functions of that institution?
First of all, the functions is to delimit the constituency and ward boundaries. That's the first one, and that is the one I like. The secondly is registration of voters. The third is maintenance of voters' roll. The fourth one is registration of candidates for election. There is civic education. There is preparation of code of conduct for candidates and parties. or election. There is the accrediting monitors or observers during election. And I think something to deal with political parties. I'm not very sure about that one.
Right.
I think I end there.
That you did very well.
Yes.
It could be like a regulation of the process by which parties nominate their candidate for elections.
Yes, yes.
And the most important regulation of the amount of money to be
Okay.
spent. Right, thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Bwana Rotich, what will be your goals if you are hired as a commissioner of IEBC? I see you're going in with a particular interest on your expertise.
Yes.
But this position, of course, as much as you're going to specialize and the IBC have got such needs, you will need to be a team player. What will be your goals if you're hired as a commissioner of IBC, and how would you achieve your goals?
Daktari and Chair, my goals is to ensure that at one time you can be able to vote using your phone. And to ensure that technology is incorporated into electoral system effectively. People fear technology. And why they fear technology is just a perception. And why is that perception there? Because the perception should not be there when it comes to election. We are having digital system when you are withdrawing money from your bank. And I've never heard anybody complaining about bank that the money has disappeared. We are also using M-Pesa. And we have never heard of anybody talking about money disappearing. So I envisage that at one time, that grandmother of mine would be able to vote using her mobile phone. And how I will do it is I will use my expertise to ensure that I incorporate my geospatial technology and incorporate my expertise in developing information systems to ensure that I achieve that.
Great, Rotich, but a little maybe knowledge for you, which you can confirm.
Yes.
At the moment, there is a very, very big money cyber fraud in the world.
Yes.
So when you say that you've never heard of it, I appreciate you're in the different field, but there's very, very big centers going on that. Mm-hmm. Not only here, all over the world.
I think we have experts who can deal with that in Kenya.
Yes.
And we cannot run away even from those cyber experts.
No, for sure.
Hacking of systems are even in European countries, in America and all that. But there are ways to counter that hacking.
Yes, for information, they are also very much active now in the Middle East.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Tell me, Mr. Rotich, what initiatives have you been responsible for in your current or previous roles that demonstrate your track records? What initiatives have you been responsible for in your current or previous employees which demonstrate your track records?
Okay, initiative that that demonstrate my.
Like you talked about the technology.
Right.
So what did you put in that role?
Okay.
In a present or previous employer?
First of all, when I arrived in Nairobi in the year 2000 from Bomet, I came and I found the department, my section, the section that I were using analog equipment. And using my initiative, I was able to convince my superiors to procure modern survey equipment. And that modern survey equipment is the one that I've enhanced that enhanced the national titling program within the country. And I feel that I have achieved that. I achieved that when I was in Ministry of Lands. Then also I have, when Charity Ngilo came in as a minister in the year 2013, the entire nation was in dire need of issuing titles to the members of the public. The rate of issuing titles at that time was very slow. And using my own initiative, I was able to convince the minister that instead of having various silos in processing of titles, because titles, you have to do the physical planning, then the physical planner finalizes, and then it goes to the land officer. The land officer issues a letters of allotment. Thereafter, the adjudication officer comes in. Thereafter, the registrar does the work. So we decided that, I convinced the minister that all those activities could be crammed together into one, and the minister agreed with me, and we constituted a national titling program in Ruaraka, which was officially launched by His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta in the year 2013. So that is the initiative which I have done. On international boundaries, most of the major initiatives are when we had an issue on our international boundaries, specifically Migingo, in the year 2009. I was the team leader, and we could not agree with Tanzania, with Uganda, on the boundary, on the location of Migingo. They were insisting that Migingo Island was in their side, as we are insisting that it is on our side.
Thank you, Rutich. Now, tell me, I mean, we've just heard you saying that, of course, and I do agree that technology is intended to make things easier and
Yes.
maybe more systematic. Now, at the moment, I'm sure you are aware that there is a huge cry from many of the lawyers and people who deal with the land at the Ministry of Land.
Yes.
And that is due to the technology which is being implemented.
Yes.
Where are we going wrong? Is it an excuse? Because you talk to many people dealing with this, it says that it's a nightmare to look for the files. And of course, we do understand how the system works. So, yes. Do you blame the system or do you blame the technology in this case?
In this case, when the Ministry of Lands is developing the national land information systems, you hear of specifically the lawyers. What they have done is they have objected to that. You know, lawyers, they are the ones who are doing transaction on land.
Convenience.
And I think maybe what could have happened is the lack of communication between the Ministry of Lands and the lawyers, because there are systems whereby maybe the lawyers were not allowed to enter into the system, or maybe the problem could have arisen in how to use the system, or they were not involved during development of these national land information systems. So the most important thing is you could have a very good system, but the problem is when the users are not sensitized.
Thank you, Manuchi. Thank you, Manuchi.
Thank you, Dr. Abdallah. I'll now request Mr. Gideon Solonka to ask you some questions.
Rotich.
Yes, Gideon.
Yes. To ensure integrity in the electoral process, it is necessary that an election management body, such as IEBC, is constantly aware of and looks out for acts of electoral fraud and other threats to electoral integrity. What is your understanding of electoral fraud? And based on the story that you gave of counting dogs as voters, would you place that as an act of electoral fraud? Maybe you can share.
Yes, counting dogs is an electoral fraud because you are trying to rig, you are rigging. So I will talk in terms of electoral fraud, in terms of electoral systems, in terms of digital frauds. For example, hacking of the systems, that is a fraud. Because when you hack the system, it means that you are trying to manipulate the systems. So that is actually a criminal offense when you hack that system. So to counter that, you ensure that your system is foolproof. You ensure that you develop codes that no one can be able to enter into that system.
Thank you. So you admit that counting dogs was an electoral offense?
It is an offense.
It was a criminal offense?
Yes, it
that
is.
you committed?
Yes.
Okay. Now, please name at least 5 acts of electoral fraud that comes to your mind.
Okay, we're destroying ballot boxes, even stealing those ballot boxes or stealing items that are used for election. The other thing is when there is violence within that time of election, it's also a fraud. Or when there is bribery, when people are bribed within that area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what are some of the strategies for the prevention of electoral fraud?
Strategies, because I work in an office that deals with various agencies, the most important thing is to ensure that we use various agencies to be able to support in terms of countering these frauds. For example, you ensure that security is put into the system. You ensure that sensitization is done so that people are not bribed, and you ensure that everything is safe.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to another question. The Constitution grants every citizen the right to be registered as a voter.
Yes.
What is your assessment of the way the IEBC has undertaken voter registration, and what will you do to address the shortcomings, if any? I ask this in view of a report from IEBC, Annual Report 2019-2020, that shows that during that period, they registered only 55,535 voters. And I think also it was in the media that up to recently, they only managed less than 150,000 voters. So what is your assessment of IEBC dealing with voter registration?
As you know very well that voter registration should be a continuous process. And my thinking is that when doing registration of voters, it is like a duplication of when you are registering for identity cards. And I think this system should be actually connected together. My thinking as a technologist. Once this system is connected together, when somebody is collecting, when the registrar of births and deaths and registrar of persons is doing that, you connect this system so that your fingerprints, once captured, it will be captured once and for all. say that it will not require IEBC when it is doing voter registration. It comes and repeats the same, because I don't think you are going to change at any other time, because your fingerprints will still be the same. So once it is captured by the Registrar of Persons, that same database will be maintained at the IEBC. So once you get your ID, you automatically register online to be a voter. So there could be that possibility of doing that. And then you also enhance, I imagine that villager down there, you enhance that registration, that you have more registration centers within the schools, within the chief's offices, within the Huduma centers, and all that. That is the only way we can be able to do that. And part of it is actually sensitization.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, you've touched on the issue of integrating the civil register and the voter register.
Yes.
And you've given those benefits. What are the risks of integration of those two registers?
So you see, we are one country, and we are all serving our country. And the risks could be maybe originate from when we don't trust the system.
I'm asking you this
in
view of the fact that you are aware that the National Registration Bureau falls under the executive.
Right.
And IEBC is supposed to be an independent body.
Right.
So what are the risks and what can be done to eliminate those issues? Briefly, please.
Okay. The risks are there in almost every entity. There are risks, and the risks is when now the Registrar of Persons maybe try to register more people maybe in a specific area than in another area, or it does hindrance, say that other people cannot be registered in a certain region. So some monkey business can be done within that system.
And what will be the solution to that?
The solution is working in collaboration, because the most important thing is, as we are one Kenya, the most important thing is working in collaboration together as an agency and as a commission.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, what is a rejected ballot?
A rejected ballot, when you go to vote, there is somewhere you are going to mark. You mark for a voter, for a candidate. So there is a box, that box. And when you mark outside the box, that is a rejected vote. Or when you mark for two candidates, that is a rejected vote.
So is it the same with a spoiled ballot?
They are spoiled.
They are one and the same thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Solonka. I'll now request Madam Elizabeth Mayo to ask you some questions.
Okay, thank you, Chair. How are you, Mr. Kiplagat?
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have given us your journey, and you have also talked of how this country has come this far, especially in the electoral process, from Lolongo to what we have now.
Yes.
And the system we have now, really, we cannot count dogs, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can't be voters, eh? And that means that IEBC has actually done a lot.
Right.
Recently,
I agree.
Yeah, they launched their strategic plan.
Yes.
And I believe you've read it.
Yes.
You've read it, eh?
Yeah.
So one challenge which is still there, and it is a challenge that if you are appointed as a commissioner, you'll tell us how you'll deal with it. This is the voter bribery. That is one of the electoral offenses which actually you mentioned when Mr. Solonka asked you a question. So how will you deal with voter bribery?
Thank you, Madam. I think this is it's a norm which has circulated almost in the entire country, because when you go during the time of elections, and you go and meet those citizens of ours down there, You see, when they see a politician, you hear them saying, "Lete yetu." And you wonder what is really happening with us, because everything is money-oriented. And I think it originates from our political leaders, because I think they are used to giving out these goodies. And the only thing to do that is to educate the members of the public. I remember at one time in Bureti, there were two candidates who were contesting. One of them was a former, he was a rich person. The other one was just a teacher, for a primary teacher. But people were saying, let's go to lunch for the rich person, but the vote will go for the poor primary teacher. So that attitude needs to be inculcated into our citizens. Say that people will not be voting in terms of money. They'll be voting in terms of values of that individual. And that is the most important thing, to sensitize these members of the public. And also, bring on board the politicians. Let's talk to them. Let them, in terms of, instead of giving goodies, they could even be contributing for development of the schools.
So, Mr. Kiplagat, in your view, who are
Yes.
the actors
The actors here,
when it comes to voter bribery?
when actually it is the same politicians, the same
So
candidates.
politicians
Yes.
encourage this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the voters themselves, because they are the ones who are saying, lete kitu kidogo.
So how will you address this if the politicians are involved and
Yes.
the voters are taking? Of course, the voters will take because maybe somebody is approached and he didn't have anything to take home in the evening, so they take. So how will you address this problem?
I say the underlying factor here is sensitization. Let's talk to these people of ours. Let's segregate them. Say that they can actually get the money, but the vote will go to their choice, where they are choosing. Choose the right person, not based on the vote. Sensitization.
So you are encouraging they get the money but vote the other person.
No, I discourage that. But, you know, if the politician comes with the money and this guy is desperate,
Yeah.
what could they do? You just tell this person, okay, because he's in a desperate situation, he can get the money, but the vote will go to his choice, not this one of now he has been bought.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So in your view, do you think voter bribery is restricted to interference to vote only on election day? Or do you think there are other instances where voter bribery can be taking place?
It's not only on election day.
Okay, tell us more.
It can be even earlier than that, because voter bribery can come in where they can bribe you, and they can even still retain your ID.
ID.
Yes, they
Okay.
retain your ID. That is, they can even do it earlier, say that they don't allow you to vote. And I have seen some instances whereby in some areas, people are taken for changa, and then they forget to vote.
Okay, there is a time when voters woke up and found
Yes,
that the person they were supporting
yes,
had changed to another party.
yes.
And it's not that he changed, but the opponent actually printed T-shirts showing that he now belongs to a different party. How do you handle such a case? Is that voter bribery? How do you call that?
The voter,
Let's say you are in party A.
yes,
Then the next day, on election day,
Yes.
there are T-shirts everywhere showing that now you are in party B. So
Yeah.
your voters don't know what to do. How do you handle that?
that one, you are very sure that the name of that person is in the vote, in the ballot. So you have no option. You just go and vote for the right candidate, because they can do anything outside there, but in the vote, his name is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you also consider having Harambes, the fundraising during the election campaigns? to be classified as voter bribery?
That is a very challenging question because, but why do they want to come and do elections and do harambees during campaigns, during that time
Yeah,
of
that's
campaign?
what I'm asking you.
That's a question I'm also asking myself.
Yes.
And yet they have been outside for all those years. I think I consider that one as a bribery. But there are harambees which are done based on you are doing an harambe for somebody who is sick. That one could be justified. If it's an harambe for somebody who is sick. But not coming now to do an harambe for a school during election time. That one is not good.
Okay, thank you. Let us move to an area where you have a lot of passion. That
Yes.
is use of technology.
Right.
Yeah, you've told us that if appointed,
Yes.
you will be able to improve the processes at IBC and actually integrate. You called it the GIS,
The GIS system.
with the electoral technology,
Yes.
which has got the ability to capture and show the results graphically across the country.
Right.
I believe that is what Kenyans are looking for.
Right.
So kindly tell us,
Yes.
with 13 months to election,
Yes.
can it be possible?
Yes. Once I go there, I will have to analyze the system which they have. And we have experts who can be able to do that because integrating the GIS system, these are technologies. So you can always integrate, just like the way you communicate from Airtel to Safaricom. It is the same. So it's only a matter of coding to ensure that they operate or they interchange.
So what safeguards will you put in place to ensure that the system works as expected by your stakeholders, such that 10,000 votes is not coming out as 5,000 votes?
Steps, I'll have to ensure that there are...
Accuracy of results is what I mean.
Right. I have to ensure that there are guidelines and there are rules pertaining to the system, so that you can be able to operate this system effectively. And also, I have to ensure that there is participation. There is public participation, so that the members of the public can be able to appreciate on the use of this system. Because you can have a system, but nobody wants it. So the most important thing is you have to ensure that those measures are there. Just like the way I was answering another question about NLIMS, National Land Information System, whereby the stakeholders are not involved. So that is the most important system. The technical aspect of connecting GIS with the election technology, that one is not a problem. The most important thing is the user.
Thank you. And the user
Yes.
can still violate the procedures, the rules you've put in place.
Right.
So what I'm looking for, what kind of system-based controls will you put in place to ensure that this system cannot be manipulated?
Is it the real system that cannot be manipulated?
You've talked of integrating the two.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So my fear is manipulation of the system.
Yes.
So what kind of system-based controls can you put in place to ensure that Wanjiku on the ground will get the right results according to how people have voted?
You are saying that you are just asking me that how do you get away with people not hugging the system?
Okay, you answer.
Yes, because the hugging of the system, there are experts who can deal with it to ensure that the system is not hacked. Because there could be rules, but the expertise is very important. So that it ensures that integrity of the system is adhered to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we have this system working and we are very happy, how will you mitigate against the risk of failure? System failure.
System failure, I agree with you that systems fails. Even your phone at times we put on and then it goes off.
Yeah.
So you have got to ensure that you have a backup. You have backups. And backups, you don't have even to declare where they are. Let's say you can have a backup at the IEBC headquarters. and then you have it elsewhere. Backups which are not even known. Say that if, in case this system fails, another one picks it up immediately.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Then it has been said that the cost of election in this country is very high compared to other jurisdictions. How will technology help IBC in reducing costs? Use of technology.
Use of technology. For example, when we are operating in our offices, we have gone to emails and communicating using Zoom and all that. When we are communicating, originally when you are communicating, we are printing papers and all those types of materials, which were very costly. So if we are printing ballot papers, for example, if we are having 20 million voters, if you print one, it means it is 20 million. Okay. And you are having how many? You are having the ward, you have the county, you are printing about 6 ballots, which is you multiply by 20. That is 120 million. It's very costly. While this person, if you could be allowed to vote using a telephone, there could be minimal cost. The cost would only be for maintenance of the system.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So in respect of voter education and outreach,
Yes.
if you've read the strategic plan 2021-2024,
Yeah.
IBC has acknowledged that there is inadequate engagement of special interest groups or lack of reliable information on them. So according to you, who are the special interest groups?
Special interest groups these are, for example, there are some communities here whereby they are very small in number. There is the disabled. There is, even women are also special interest groups. The youths also are special interest groups.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If appointed commissioner,
Yes.
how will you help IBC to enhance engagement with this particular group? Yeah.
These are groups which are vulnerable. And the most important thing, because me as a surveyor, I have traveled all over this country, almost every sub-county or every ward in this country. And when you go to those villages, the most essential people there is you will find a teacher in that village, you will find a chief in that village. So, and you will find very influential people there within that community. So the most important thing is to communicate or to talk with, to use that aspect of using the people within that area, community leaders within that area, say that the interest of these people can be gathered with. So the most important thing is we ensure that we incorporate with the local people within that area, so that we can actually get their interest gathered.
Okay, thank you. Let me take the youth.
Yes.
As a part of the special interest groups.
Yes.
How will you use the community, the chiefs, to help the youth in enhance the interest of the youth in an electoral process?
Chiefs are part of our society.
Okay.
And whenever I go anywhere, when I go to, let's say, Kibish, Rotich is not known, but the local chief is known. So I will use the local chief to bring in these youths, and from there I will pass the message, because it's important that you collaborate with the administration within that area. And I can also use the media. You can also use the media. I can also use technology such as WhatsApp. You can use Facebook and current mode of communication which the youths are. I can also go to schools, talk to them, and also have some celebrations, let's say football matches and all that within those areas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rotich.
Yes,
thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I'll now request the Vice Chair to ask you a few questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Rotich, I'll just take you back to the story of the dogs, counting dogs.
Yes.
For the sake of our young generation, what period in our electoral history was this when the DC was forcing you to count dogs? What period was it?
What really?
What period in our electoral history was this?
That was 1987.
1987.
Yes.
On a lighter note, I'm just wondering why the DC picked on dogs and not trees. Was there a reason?
The trees were not standing on the line.
The dogs were standing on the line?
Yeah, the dogs were standing on the line.
Okay, so thank you. Now, I know one thing that in the civil service,
yes,
in government, there's provision for a junior writing a confidential report to seniors in event your immediate boss is causing you or forcing you to break the law. Did you do something like that?
First of all, you have to know that I was a casual employee. I was not anything else. So I was paid every day. So, and this is my employer. And I could see him being saluted every time. You know how a DC used to be. He was everything within those days.
Okay, I get you. You're just a clerk, doing part-time work.
Casual laborer.
Yeah.
Or a casual, yeah. I was a casual.
Thank you. I believe you know the vision of the IEBC.
Yes.
Could you state the vision of IEBC?
The vision is to ensure that there is free and fair election, and also the delimitation of electoral boundaries.
Thank you, but that is more closer to the mission than the vision, I think. When you get back, look at it again. The vision is IEBC envisions being a credible electoral management body that meets the democratic aspirations of the people of Kenya.
Okay.
Now, supposing you succeed, you go through this process, and you become a commissioner.
Yes.
How do you help the commission achieve that vision?
First of all, I will help in terms of technology, as I said earlier, to ensure that the voter registration is efficient, to ensure that delivery of results is efficient, and to ensure that the boundaries are well delimited, and also to ensure that there is resolution of disputes within the electoral systems.
Technology is just one aspect of management of the electoral process.
Yes.
There's so much more.
Yes.
That you need to do to attain that vision. What else do you think the country faces in terms of delivering democratic elections?
Apart from technology?
So apart from technology?
Yes.
There are many things.
Yeah.
Challenges facing the IEBC as an electoral management body in delivering democratic elections. There are many challenges.
First of all,
beyond technology.
Apart from technology, there are other things like funding, because those are challenges which are there. So I will ensure that, because from my experience in government, I'll ensure that there is proper planning, proper budgeting, engaging the right people to ensure that we get funding. The other thing is I'll have to ensure that there is teamwork within the the IEBC. From my experience as a civil servant, I will bring that teamwork. And also, I'll have to ensure that there are structures, proper structures within the IEBC for efficient delivery of services. That is, structures and rules are adhered to in terms of procurement, human resource, and all that.
One of the challenges the IEBC faces, and it's not IEBC alone, this is something that affects many electoral management bodies all over the world, actually.
Yes.
Is independence, safeguarding their independence.
Independence.
And interference from external forces. Now,
Yes.
you say you have experience with government, working with government all those years. One of the accusations leveled when it comes to the independence of our electoral process is interference by the executive in the elections. How would you handle this, given your experience having worked with government?
IEBC has a mandate under the Constitution, and it is also supposed to be, it is actually independent on its function. But it is also interdependent, because when you are doing your work as a commission, you rely on various agencies. For example, provision of security. You don't have enough security. You don't have even security. You are not mandated to provide security. So the most important thing is to ensure that we have, at the commission level, that is the commissioner's level, you engage the major stakeholders. For example, you engage the Ministry of Interior, the National Police, say that you can have open discussions on how to conduct elections. Because there is no government that will say that they are not going to do an election because of this and this, or they manipulate the activities of IEBC. So the most important thing I believe in this world is that once you have open discussions with any agency, there is nothing like manipulating the IEBC.
Thank you. Now, this is a leadership position. What qualities, leadership qualities, do you believe you have that you take to the commission?
First of all, I'm a professional. I'm a team leader. I have high integrity.
Could you just qualify that? What is high integrity?
High integrity means that I work in a manner that is acceptable by the society. That means I'll be able to do my work in a good norms. I have good norms. The other thing is I can delegate. I delegate my work. And also, I'm transparent. I'm impartial. And I consider regional diversity, or the diversity of our country, and also rule of law.
Thank you.
Reverend Father.
Thank you, Chair. Bwana Rotich, nashukuru kupata nafasi hii niweze kuzungumza kidogo na wewe na nikuulize maswali. Naona ajabu sana ulipata nafasi ya kuhesabu mbwa.
Ndio.
Unajua ni wangapi walihesabiwa katika hiyo district? district mzima?
Sina hakika ni wangapi walihesabuliwa wakati huo, lakini mahali niliona mbwa mbili zikihesabuliwa. So sina habari ya kwamba
uliona ama mlihesabu?
Tulihesabu na DC na ule mkuu wa wilaya.
On a light note, eh?
Asante.
In your discourse, you said that, you would advise if somebody comes to these voters with money.
Yes.
Let's eat the money.
Yes.
This is what you, as a commissioner, would advise the youth?
As a commissioner, at my level as a commissioner, I will not be able to do that, advise that. But I would advise, as I said, I will engage the politician to refrain from giving goodies like that. Because I was just saying what exists. But I envisage that at one time I will engage this politician, say that he can desist giving out the money. And also I will engage the one who is taking the money, say that I can be able to sensitize that his vote is very valuable.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Rotich.
Yes, Reverend.
In your application, you stated that you have 30 years of experience in public service.
Yes, 33 to be exact.
33. That means you have over 30 years.
Yes.
Allow me to allude to the fact that land issues are very emotive.
Right.
And land is so much associated to election.
Yes.
In that at some point when the election time comes, people tend to talk about it and campaign and use it as part of, their criteria to woo voters to their side. Allow me to just ask you this question.
Yes.
In your capacity as a surveyor, or
yes,
you've handled land for many years.
Yes.
What are some of the mitigations that you've tried, or or what are some of the mitigations mechanisms that you would use to lower these tensions?
Especially on land.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you are seeing areas whereby people are now starting to fight each other because of land.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, there are three key things in Kenya whereby it creates a lot of emotions. One is land. The second one is elections. The third one is boundaries. And all of those are based on land. So the most important thing to mitigate this is to ensure that our people are issued with the title deeds. Mm-hmm. And right now, we have, the land laws have given guidelines on to have fixed boundaries. That is, the land must be georeferenced. That means your parcel of land must have coordinates. Say that you at any time you can be able to reestablish a boundary dispute. You can be able to solve a boundary dispute using mathematics, not the one you are using trees and stones. So the most important thing is to ensure that we have a proper development of mapping systems, and to ensure that our people are educated on the importance of maintaining their boundaries. Because if you don't maintain your boundaries, you will find people squatting on your land because the boundary will move. But once you have a system whereby the coordinates are known, even if you go to America for 10 years, the boundary can still be reestablished. And that system is in countries like Australia, whereby you know your boundary by coordinates. You have your title digitally, just like the way you can be able to have your driving license renewal digitally. So that one empowers the people. So the most important thing is to empower our citizens to ensure that they get their title deeds. Yes, and that is what the ministry is doing to develop the National Land Information System so that you can be able to get your land titles or process your land titles in an effective way without undergoing a lot of brokers and all that.
Now, I still continue to ask you on issues on land.
Yes.
We've seen land grabbing and, many people have lost their properties and because of land issues.
Yes.
These are, very unethical behavior.
Yes.
What would you suggest, in terms of, as a surveyor, as a person who has handled land, this kind of behavior, how do we handle such people?
Luckily, I worked as a director at the National Land Commission, and that is where I investigated a lot of grabbing. For example, in Lamu, there was a lot of grabbing of public land in Lamu. So the most important thing, as I said, is to ensure that land is demarcated and to ensure that we have the land information systems which can work effectively. Because grabbing comes in when your land is not known or when people go to schools and start grabbing. So the National Land Commission has that mandate to ensure that grabbing, when they came in, there is nothing like grabbing anymore because the National Land Commission has a mandate of repossessing that grabbed land. Originally, it used to be handled by the executive. But when the National Land Commission came in, that system of grabbing disappeared completely. And proper procedures of land acquisition were established.
Now, you've been handling boundaries for quite some time.
Yes.
Some communities up to now complain that some of the part of their land,
yes,
has been given to other communities.
Yes.
What would you say about that? What possible mechanisms can be put in place to see that we resolve such disputes?
It depends now on which process, because when there is land adjudication, when land adjudication is being done, there are mechanisms of ensuring that land disputes are resolved at that stage when the adjudication is being done. But now when it has gone to other areas, for example, public land, it becomes a different issue because that becomes now an encroachment in public land. But in terms of communities, it is being solved under the Land Adjudication Act, whereby the people within that area can be able to be brought on board, and the elders within that area are brought on board to ensure that they resolve the issue during the demarcation of the boundaries.
Thank you, Mr. Rotich, and all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks.
Thank you, Reverend Father.
Yes.
Mr. Rotich, I'll end the interview by asking you a general knowledge question.
Yes.
You have confirmed you've looked at the strategic plan, the latest one from IEBC.
Yes.
So, and that's good preparation for a future IEBC commissioner. What are the symbols in the logo of the IEBC commission?
The symbol.
Yeah, the symbols in the logo of the IEBC commission. What kind of, what is on the logo?
Okay, it is it's a symbol that is round with a ballot box, and I think a vote. I see a vote being dropped inside the ballot box.
Very good. And that ballot box is within the country.
It is within
of Kenya.
inside the
circle and inside the map of Kenya.
Right.
Very good. Thank you. So we've now come to the end of your oral interview.
Thank you.
I can invite you to make any remarks you may have to the panel.
Chair, members of the panel, I really appreciate that you shortlisted me to come to this interview. I say I'm very happy. And also to my profession as a surveyor, I'm very glad because among the 36, there is no surveyor. So I'm very happy. And I was expecting Reverend to ask me questions on Swahili. I was really ready. Thank you very much. I have no questions.
Thank you. You know, we are using Swahili because it's the national language, but it is not. It's not one of the things we are assessing. But thank you. I'm glad you came ready to talk in Kiswahili.
Right.
So on behalf of the panel and the people of Kenya, we want to thank you so much also for applying. We don't take it for granted when Kenyans show an interest in serving their country. So we wish you well, and I'll request a member of the Secretariat to escort you. Please make sure you get your original certificates, and you have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we come to the end of the interviews for today. We'll resume tomorrow at 9:30 a.m.